it did eventually kind of build. I had a feeling of like of the world ending, and like in a sense my world did end, right? So like this reality did end.
Yeah.
And then and so and I just left one day. I just left with my backpack. Um, and and then after that, it just the immersion just kind of just progressively got worse. And at that, like in those states, I couldn't even use anything if I want. Like I didn't even barely needed food. So that whole cycle was non-existent because I was so immersed, in
Mm.
these other realities, and I was interacting with different beings and different realities and stuff like that. And then I really saw like more what I understand now of like these like forces that have impacted humanity over eons, like all the pieces started coming together, those puzzle pieces that we see that come
Yeah.
together, right?
Yeah.
Not like, and it's funny because that's also like considered a pathology and like diagnostic criteria, like psychosis or one of those, right? That seeing the pieces that don't really have connection, but I think that's when it's
Oh,
more off balance. Yeah, but I think that's when it's more off balance, right? Everything in balance, right? So I was definitely out there, so I was definitely having some delusions. I was definitely, because I didn't have a container to hold all this, and that's what I go back to,
yeah.
right? I didn't
Yeah.
have anybody who could sit with me. I didn't have anybody who could hold the space for me, and it was met with fear and needing to suppress it and control it. And I was told, like, I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and I was told that I need medication for the rest of my life, and that just hasn't been my story. I just,
Oh,
it just hasn't been my story. And you don't see other stories or other versions, and if we don't have other versions or other stories, how can we even like how can we even have a framework for understanding that other potentials might be valid?
yeah. Wow.
you
And it's
know
so,
like
yeah. No, just so
yeah,
amazing that you are sharing that story. Yeah. And all that you've been
taken a
through.
really
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my goodness.
yeah,
And and so yeah, that is like what you said about the container and just being held. And we don't have the healthy version of that in our society, do we? The
no,
container to be held, it's
no.
more yeah, restrictive container, I suppose. Yeah. So or you
And
the
I've
only
worked
option
with
you
a
had.
lot of people, who have, what we label as severe mental illness, right? And
Yeah.
I've just found myself working with many people like who have schizophrenia, who have psychosis, who have,
Mm.
and some of them just really, really need to be heard, acknowledged. And a lot of the overlap in terms of trauma comes in, and it just, and it gets imbalanced. And then others have no, again, that no pathway for other kind of understanding, and it's an illness, and they have to, and they're reliant on their treatment, which is a belief, right? And then we can go down that pathway. um but there's also some that I know wouldn't function without that
Yeah,
support. But I
exactly.
just wonder, right, if we had different avenues to help people when they're in those very vulnerable states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you admitted yourself to hospital and you did this.
No, I was forcibly admitted.
Oh, were you? Wow, okay.
Yeah, through multiple times. Yeah. Did you say you did that? Did you say that was part of your journey?
Well, no, that was the thing because I remember the moment where I was going to admit myself to
Oh, but you
hospital,
didn't.
but I
Oh, but
didn't.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's
And
right.
but yeah, and I always kind of yeah, there was many points where in the very intensity of it, I like you, I relate to what you're saying about I just needed something to hold me. I needed support, but I didn't know what even that looked like. And yeah, and I knew yeah that my option was to go into hospital, but because I was a nurse and I worked in the hospital and I needed to feed the kids, I was like, I can't go in. And I know, yeah, so it was all very yeah, and I did manage to find support in my own communities then, and found people who understood what I was going through. And I
It's
guess, yeah,
amazing.
things came to me just at the right time, and I was able to find my feet and get through it all. But yeah, but I did often wonder what would have happened if I had admitted myself to hospital. And yeah,
Right. Right. Or if you hadn't had that support or understanding. I
yeah,
mean, I think that's so invaluable to not feel so like alone and isolated. We need that, right? Especially when we're feeling vulnerable or overwhelmed or don't understand what we're going through. We need that connection.
yeah.
And when
So,
it's
and
met with
then
fear, it's really just damaging.